This is TWiT.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I join with my co-host to bring you This Week in Space, the latest and greatest news from the final frontier. We talk to NASA chiefs, space scientists, engineers, educators, and artists, and sometimes we just shoot the breeze over what's hot and what's not in space, books, and TV. And we do it all for you, our fellow true believers. So whether you're an armchair adventurer or waiting for your turn to grab a slot in Elon's Mars rocket, join us on This Week in Space and be part of the greatest adventure of all time.
So you may remember the Super Bowl last year. A guy named Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, did a very nice, very funny ad for a little company called FTX, in which Larry was, through the ages, he was in the ancient times. He said, the wheel, it's no good. You can eat a bagel. You can't eat a wheel. And then he downplays the fork, the toilet, every invention. And finally, modern times, he's sitting at his desk, and some guy says, well, let's talk about cryptocurrency. And Larry says, it's not going anywhere. And then the tagline for FTX, remember that name, don't be a Larry. Or maybe you remember Matt Damon doing an ad for Crypto.com, as it turns out. Fortune favors the brave. The Wright brothers, the moon landing, you should buy some crypto. Or maybe you remember Tom Brady and his model wife, Gisele Bündchen, with their phone Tom saying, I'm going to make a trade on FTX. And Gisele saying, oh, how exciting. All these celebrities promoting cryptocurrencies. So what happened to FTX this week? It went from $19 billion in assets to zero. Sam Bankman-Fried, who was on the cover of Fortune magazine as the next great, technology savior, apparently, if he had been doing with FTX, been doing the same thing with real money, he'd be in jail by now. He had created FTX and correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, because you're the expert on this, as a crypto exchange, place you would store your crypto or trade your Shiba Inu for some Doge or whatever. But at the same time, he founded a trading company called Alameda Research, which was funded by tokens, FT tokens from FTX.
Correct.
So
he moved about $10 billion of customer funds into his trading company.
At some point last week, customers got a little nervous. I think, honestly, it was a little feud between him and another big crypto exchange, Binance, run by a Chinese. We don't know exactly, right? But the CEO and founder, I think, is Chinese. Binance, it kind of somehow, I think it was on Twitter even, somehow impugned FTX, and people said, I'm going to get my money out of FTX. A run on the bank, $6 billion. Later, they had to freeze assets because they didn't have reserves to cover the run. At that point, everybody went a little bit crazy. FTX had, earlier this year, Sam is a smart guy. He burnished his image. He became famous for effective altruism, implied that he was giving away a lot of money. He was worth, at one point, I think $19 billion. He bailed out Robinhood when Robinhood kind of got underwater. He came in and said, well, here, we're going to give you some FT and we'll bail you out. He did the same thing for BlockFi. When they were starting to have some trouble, he was really the white knight. Everybody thought, this is the guy who understands crypto, who knows how to make it work, who knows how to make it fly. Now, apparently, he's in custody in the Bahamas because he was fleeing to Dubai. The money is gone. His net worth has gone down below zero. And there are a lot of FTX wallet holders who are out of luck, just like BlockFi, which also froze withdrawals this week. Binance was going to swoop in like a white knight, and I swear to God, I think they planned this. They said, oh, yeah, we'll save them. And then they said, oh, wait a minute, we just looked at the balance sheet. No, we don't want anything to do with it, which immediately cratered the whole thing, putting a competitor out of business. So, Robert, what's your take on all this? Was Sam Bankman-Fried a Bernie Madoff or a genius?
No, he was more like, what's his name from Fire Festival, who started up Magnesis.
It is a fire festival. It is. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's what this is. Because, okay, he was trying to set himself up as, I think you nailed it, he wanted to be the white knight. He was going to be the one who would show that it was possible to create a professional exchange and just make money from the fees. In fact, it was making so much money that he was able to bail out fellow trading sites and services. But as it turned out, that the only profits he was making was off of the trading that he was doing with customer funds, which worked fine as long as the market continued to go up. All of these stories are the same. As long as the market continues to go up, he kept getting enough profit from that illegal trading to be able to make the business look reputable. The moment that it dipped and we started to lose market, there was not enough money to cover the customer funds by far. And when Binance came in and they looked at the books, the one thing that people heard was misallocation of customer funds. That kills an exchange instantly. It always has. And it always will, because then they realized the exchange is not playing on the up and up with the trading, with the tokens that it has been entrusted. And once it does not have the trust of the token holders, every token, because of the nature of cryptocurrency, can be withdrawn immediately. So the only option is to immediately halt all trading. Imagine this is a run on the bank on steroids, without even the waiting period to go down to the bank to close your account. The entire crypto community looks at FTX and it's kind of resigned at this point. We know this is happening. We know it's going to happen a lot more. There are other exchanges that are going to go under, and everyone is just hoping that theirs will hold out long enough for crypto to go back up so they can get some of their investment back out.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
Out now?
I mean, listen, almost 100 years to the day. It's what, 20, it's been
1929
almost 100 years, right? So October
Yep.
29's crash, still the largest sell-off of shares in U.S. history. You know, because of trust and confidence, exchanges only work when they're not hyper volatile, and the volatility is tied directly to consumer and customer confidence and trust. So we're going to continue to have liquidity events. I don't care who's running it or how much they're promising to do altruistically. That's one variable that's outside of everybody's control. And by the way, once you introduce bots, or once you introduce bad actors who start seeding mistrust, you know, that run on the bank that Padre just talked about happens faster, and there's no way to stop it. Yeah. Right? So this is what I was talking about earlier. We have very long tail challenges ahead of us, and the technology is on a developmental track that's just going faster than our current regulatory track. By the time those decisions get made, it's too late. So I'm not usually a fan, of like regulating up front, and I'm not saying we should do that here either, because it stifles innovation. That being said,
but isn't that the point of crypto, is to stay unregulated as best as possible?
Well, listen, again, I think central banks have gotten us into some of the problem that we're in right now. But one of the things that we've learned is that the very institutions designed to keep us all afloat and to trust are the ones that are causing problems at the same time that these new exchanges that are totally decentralized or whatever are causing problems. We are in a bad situation, I think.
I feel like, well, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this was a scam. And that a lot of crypto and NFTs, I'll throw those into, are essentially pyramid schemes that the people who got in early desperately need people to buy these products at a higher price, the speculation.
Oh, my God. You couldn't be more on the mark, Leo. That is exactly why we saw, 4 or 5 ads during the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
You need people who are ignorant to the market, which, I'm sorry, that was the point of those Super Bowl ads. Let's get people think they're missing out.
Fortune favors.
Let's get more bodies. I mean, just think about how pari-mutuel betting works. If you go to a racetrack, it only works if more people put money into the pool.
Well, the difference with pari-mutuel betting is the betting pool then is distributed to the winners.
I know.
I think it's important to separate the technology infrastructure from the business model supporting it, because I will say there's some interesting applications here when it comes to privacy. So there's a way now to create an NFT for your genome, for example, and grant permissions so you can license out parts of your genome for, let's say, remuneration by a pharmaceutical company, but without giving them indefinite rights to it. So the technology is interesting, but so far the business models are totally there's nobody minding the store, right?
I feel like
Well,
hold on. In addition to these guys being scammers, they took advantage of the fact that the technology is somewhat confusing to do a lot of hand waving. And I hear it all the time. Oh, the underlying technology is interesting. Blockchain is just a distributed database. That's all. It's not magic. Cryptocurrency is just,
They're evolutions.
Fiat currency managed on a blockchain. And I'm not sure that gives it any real benefit. Unfortunately, part of the way this was sold, and I think, again, I feel like this is criminal. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was with the best intentions. But part of the way it's sold is, well, there are a lot of people who the banking system disenfranchises in third world nations, in the poor people in ghettos. So Jay-Z created a school to teach young black children, poor black children, about cryptocurrency because it's somehow magically going to re-enfranchise them. And it didn't, and it doesn't. And I'm not saying Jay-Z knew better. Maybe I'm not saying he was a con man, but I think he was probably conned because the technology, there's a lot of hand waving on the technology, but really underneath all this, it was a Ponzi scheme. It was a very traditional, old-fashioned scheme, a scam. And unfortunately, the promise of this technology fooled people. And that makes me mad because that is a really horrific misuse of technology, and it's going to make more people bitter about technology too. I think they played off the fact that nobody really understood it. In fact, they intentionally made it obscure. Okay, I'm done. I'll get off my soapbox.